She nervously fiddled with a mug of cold coffee, sitting at the kitchen table. Outside, rain drizzled, tapping against the windowsill, and the room smelled of cinnamon and something slightly burnt. The pie had recently been overbaked in haste and left in the oven a little too long. Well, again, nothing? The other woman sat down across from her, brushing a light strand of hair from her face. Her gray eyes sparkled with genuine curiosity. Nothing, she nearly shouted, clenching her fists. They're like a shadow. I know he's cheating, but I can't catch him. Yesterday, I told him I'd be late at work, but I came home in 20 minutes. Think I caught him? Not even close. He was just sitting there watching a show. Didn't even take off his socks. A chuckle. A piece of underbaked pie torn off thoughtfully and chewed. Maybe he has accomplices, like friends covering for him. Accomplices? He barely handles himself, let alone coordinating others. She smirked, but her expression remained anxious. Listen, I've been on edge for 3 months. I even memorized his entire route from work to home. 37 minutes without traffic. Once I followed him all the way to the office. He didn't take a single step off course. A master of disguise, the other nodded. But don't give up. You know what you should do? Install cameras at home. It's easy now. Just buy a few and place them discreetly. I've thought about it, she nodded. But he knows I'm capable of it. If he notices even the slightest thing, I won't learn anything at all. The other woman spun a fork in her hands, deep in thought, then suddenly lit up. Take a vacation. Don't tell him. Pretend you're going to work, but stay home. And hide under the couch or in a closet? She rolled her eyes sarcastically. I may be desperate, but not that desperate. Well, it's not a bad idea, came the offended reply. Okay then, how about this? Download a tracking app, install it on his phone. Then you'll know where he is every second. Do you hear yourself? She sighed. I sound like I've become the lead in a bad soap opera. But you're right. I need to do something. A satisfied smile followed. See? I always tell you, there's a way out of any situation. You just need to plan it right. I'm just scared I won't be happy when I finally learn the truth, she whispered, leaning back in her chair and staring out the window. The light rain intensified, but inside the kitchen, the storm was only just beginning. By Friday, said there was traffic. Yeah, traffic. She narrowed her eyes, suspicious. In reality, he could have gone anywhere. Exactly, she sighed. That's why I'm taking a taxi today and following him. Your plan, by the way. Of course it's mine, she beamed, as if she'd just won a detective award. As soon as you spot something, call me. If you need backup, I'll grab my scooter and be there in a flash. She couldn't help but laugh. Can you picture that? I'm spying on my husband and you come racing in on a pink scooter with a basket? What do you mean, can you picture? She replied indignantly. You think Miss Marple thought about appearances? I've got everything figured out. You'll see. The first week was not very productive. Her husband faithfully went to work and gave no reason to be suspicious. But then, something interesting caught her attention. Listen, she said one day, sitting on the couch. I noticed he sometimes stops by the corner shop, but we never buy anything there. I asked him. He said it was just little things. Little things, huh? Came the raised brow. That might be the key. You know, there's no such thing as little things at those shops. Let's check it out. So they did. The next time he stopped by, she followed him inside. Later, details were demanded from the comfort of the couch. What did he buy? Nothing criminal, she sighed. A carton of milk and a pack of cookies. He's so boring, came the disappointed groan. We need something juicier. Okay, how about this? Tell him you have a work party and see what he does. Maybe he'll invite someone over. You watch too many detective shows, she said, shaking her head. He'll probably just go to the garage with friends or play war games online. War games? That's suspicious too, came the serious reply. What if we test him? Bring in a third party. She placed her mug on the table, looking intrigued. Like who? My cousin. She's a knockout. We'll have her approach him in a cafe and see how he reacts. You want to trap my husband? It's an experiment, came the shrug. For science. She stared, unsure if it was a joke, but the scariest part was that she clearly wasn't joking. Another batch of questionably baked pastries came out of the oven just as she burst into the kitchen, notebook clutched tight and eyes gleaming with victory. I've got a plan, she blurted from the doorway. Really? The other turned, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. Let's hear it. She tossed her bag on the table, sat down across from her, and dramatically opened her notebook, scanning the page. This will be smarter and more devious than all your ideas combined, she said conspiratorially. Look, I'm going to pretend I'm having an affair. It took a few seconds for the meaning to land. What do you mean? She asked, tilting her head in confusion. Think about it, she continued, becoming more and more excited. If he finds out, or even suspects, that I'm cheating on him, he'll react. Maybe he'll start justifying himself, or blurt something out, or get nervous. It's genius. The friend leaned back in her chair, stifling a laugh. Wait. You want to fake an affair? She rubbed her chin as if considering. Are you sure that'll work? He's not exactly an idiot who'd fall for it right away. That's exactly why I have everything planned, she said, raising her finger triumphantly. I'll invent a fake admirer, not a real one, of course. I'll just make it look real. I'll pretend to be texting someone, leave a bouquet out in plain sight that he gave me, and a business card, let's say from some entrepreneur. Just imagine how that'll get to him. You're not bad. Her friend clapped her hands on the table, finally getting into the game. And if he asks about the flowers, what'll you say? That you won a work raffle? No, that's too childish, she frowned in thought. I'll say it's from a colleague, just a friendly gesture, nothing suspicious. Genius, the friend exclaimed. Wait, but where are you going to get the business card from? She squinted mischievously. Found one in his wallet last week. Someone must have given it to him during a meeting. It's just lying there. I doubt he even remembers it. You're a real pro. The friend shook her head in admiration. All right, let me help. What's next? You'll be my accomplice, she declared. You'll say you saw me leaving the store with someone. Make it mysterious. Tall man, blue coat, something like that. Oh my God, this is already fun, her friend laughed, raising a cup of tea. When do we start? Tonight, she answered firmly. I've already bought the flowers. Now I just need to put them somewhere obvious and write a couple of texts from the admirer. Her friend looked at her with genuine delight. Well, Maestro, I'd better get the popcorn. This show is going to be amazing. Saturday started quietly. He was in the kitchen, as usual, making breakfast when she appeared in the doorway, dressed in a sleek pantsuit. She fussed with the strap on her bag, trying her best to look calm. You're really okay with me going? She asked, casting him an innocent look. He glanced over his shoulder, a wooden spatula in hand. Of course. Work is work. What's the conference? Nothing major, she shrugged. Just a presentation and some project discussions. I'll be back Sunday evening. He nodded and turned back to. The plan was simple. She'd disappear for the weekend to see what he'd do once he was sure she was gone. To add tension, her friend would later call him with a shocking bit of news. On Sunday evening, she returned to their building, barely able to contain nervous laughter. She imagined how he'd react, shocked, asking questions, maybe even throwing a fit. But most importantly, she'd see his reaction. She slid the key into the lock and quietly opened the door. The apartment was suspiciously silent. From the bedroom came faint rustling noises, as if someone was hastily moving things around. She stepped inside and called out, "I'm home." He appeared in the doorway. Well, part of him. Disheveled, barefoot, in nothing but underwear and a shirt half thrown over his shoulders. He looked like he'd just seen a ghost. "Babe," he said, eyes wide. "Who were you expecting?" she replied coolly, scanning him from head to toe. He glanced over his shoulder nervously, as if someone was behind the bedroom door, then turned back and stepped forward, trying to block the view. "You said you'd be back in the evening." "And what do you think it is now? Morning?" she countered, walking into the apartment and setting down her bag. His face turned pale. "You're supposed to be in the hospital. At the conference." "Must be some mistake, clearly," she said, crossing her arms and eyeing him suspiciously. "Why do you look like you just escaped from the ER?" He stepped back, forcing a smile. "You scared me, honestly. That phone call, the whole thing, I was just thrown off." "Thrown off enough to take your pants off?" she asked dryly, stepping closer. Just then, a quiet cough came from the bedroom. She froze, straightened abruptly. "What was that?" She pointed toward the door. That was the TV," he blurted, but immediately fell silent when the cough came again, louder this time. "The TV, huh?" She stared him down, her face turning icy cold. Her eyes narrowed. "Let me guess. It's not wearing pants either, like you a few seconds ago." He opened his mouth but said nothing. She didn't wait for an excuse. She flung the bedroom door open. What she saw made her freeze like a statue. On the bed, on the blanket she would recognize among thousands, sat her best friend, her neighbor, the person she'd just been drinking coffee with yesterday, devising this very damned plan. "You!" she practically screamed, her voice trembling with genuine fury. "It's not what you think," both of them shouted at once. He swallowed nervously, trying to speak, but stumbled and fell silent. She, on the other hand, mustered some. "That's not true." Her friend tried to defend herself, but now her voice was shaking too. You just took advantage of the opportunity," she shouted, flinging her hand in the direction of her husband. "How long has this been going on? A week? A month? Since the beginning?" "It was an accident," her friend blurted out, her voice cracking on the final word. "It only happened once, I swear." "Right, an accident," she snapped. "Let me guess. You slipped on the stairs, fell into his arms, and somehow ended up in my bed?" He stepped forward, but she turned to him so sharply that he froze in place. "And you," she jabbed a finger into his chest, "you didn't even try to hide it. Do you even realize how insane this is?" For a moment, no one moved. Silence. She looked around at the scene again. Her friend wrapped awkwardly in a blanket, her husband looking like he wanted to leap out the window, and herself standing in the middle of this absurd farce. Then she laughed, loudly, almost hysterically, but with real release. My God, she said through laughter, wiping tears from the corners of her eyes. This is a masterpiece. He started to say something, but she raised her hand to silence him. Enough. I'm done. I have nothing left. She stepped back, picked up her bag, and headed for the door. At the threshold, she turned around. You know what's the funniest part? She said. You told me that catching him would be the greatest moment of my life. She scoffed. You were wrong. And she slammed the door, leaving them alone.